Hi, I'm Krystle. As a child, I was always nurturing and naturally loved dolls. When I became an adult and discovered Reborn dolls, my little family started to grow. There's Haley, Landon, Avery, Chloe, Shiloh, Grace, Jamie, Jeremy, Maya, and Suki. It isn't easy keeping up with my collection, but it's a lot of fun. Hey guys, so I just thought I would do a video to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background on me and how I came into collecting dolls and reborns and stuff. I just thought it would be fun to share it with you guys. I've just made some notes because my memory, I have to write things down or else I forget. My memory can be bad sometimes because of the lupus, so just forgive me if I kind of glance down occasionally because I'm just kind of referring to some little notes I made so I remember everything. But so basically, I have always loved dolls from the time I was a little girl. I remember, I think the first doll I got, I was 1 year old. I think I've seen a picture of me getting her at Christmas, and she was like this doll that was almost as big as me with blonde curly hair. But for me, the real moment that I really started to love dolls and connect with dolls was, I believe, when I got my Cabbage Patch Kid. I can't quite remember how old I was when I got her, maybe 2 or 3, but her name was Emily. I still have her. You've probably seen her on the shelf with my BB dolls, and yeah, she has just been, she was like my child. I carried her around everywhere. I changed her diaper. I dressed her up. She had her own winter coat with earmuffs and mittens and boots, and I would always like take her out to the restaurants and stuff. I mean, she was my child. And I've always had a very strong nurturing side to me, so I think playing with dolls from a young age came very naturally for me because it was a way to nurture. And that's also probably why, you know, I'm a huge animal lover. I've always enjoyed having cats as pets and, you know, just loving them and nurturing them. And so it's always been a part of me, and I've always, you know, known from a very young age that I want to be a mom. Now, we unfortunately don't know if that will happen at this time just because of everything with my health and whatnot. It has to be carefully planned. So, but that's another day. Yeah, so I've just always had dolls, and I played with my dolls until I was, I would say 12, maybe even 13. And I didn't want to stop playing with my dolls, but it got to be that message that you get from the public that, you know, once you're too old to be playing with dolls. You're too old to be playing with dolls. I just, you know, I kept hearing that, and so I stopped playing with my dolls for a while. But on occasion, I would go in my bedroom, close the door, and I would change Emily or my child doll, Elizabeth. I would change them and just cuddle them and rock them. So, you know, I would do it in secret because I felt like people would make fun of me if they knew I still played with dolls. Then I just kind of got out of it. I didn't really do that much anymore. But then in high school, we did the Baby Think It Over program where you had to take the baby home for a weekend. And I remember I was so excited to do this because it was like, wow, I get to be like a parent for a weekend. You know, I was so excited that I actually purposely signed up to do it on a long weekend so that I would get an extra day. And I loved every minute of it. I mean, yeah, I was sleep deprived. It woke me up in the middle of the night, but I didn't care. I loved, loved, loved the whole experience. Now, those were the older models. Those were the old days where you just stuck a key in the back and you had to hold it there for however long it took before it cooed. And so those things killed your hands. I mean, I finally found out by like, I think the second or third night to use a blanket to cushion the key. But yeah, that was a pain. You know, back then they didn't have the kind that they have now where you can actually give them a bottle, change them and all that stuff. But I still loved it. I loved it. I didn't want to give the doll back to the school. And my teacher thought I was crazy, but I didn't want to give it back. And once everyone in the class had a turn, I actually asked her if I could take it again for another weekend. And she thought I was crazy, but I did it. But the funny thing is that the battery died that weekend. And, but I ended up still playing with it like a real baby the whole weekend, and just loved it. And so yeah, I mean, I felt bad like giving it back. I just did not want to give it back. And so then I just kind of continued on with my high school days. And once I got out of high school and I was almost finished my first year of college, and I really got thinking again about the Baby Think It Over doll and just how much I love that experience. And I thought, gee, you know, like, I wonder if there's people out there that actually own one, or is there somewhere where I could actually buy one? And I started to look into it, and quickly discovered that you actually had to be from a school. Like, they would only sell the dolls to schools. And I was really disappointed with that. But through the Baby Think It Over website, I found out that they had a sister company who was using the same molds to make toy versions of the Baby Think It Over dolls, and they were called neonates. And they had several different variations of the doll, where they had ones that were they were non-weighted, non-electronic. They had ones that didn't have electronics but were weighted, and then they had the electronic ones. And the electronic ones at that time, they did what the Baby Think It Over doll that was currently out, which was the Real Care 1 Baby Think It Over doll. They did the same functions, like it would cry and you would have to determine whether it needed a bottle, rocking, burping, or diaper change. But the only difference was that the Baby Think It Over is on like a real infant schedule round the clock. The electronic neonate had an on-off switch, and it would cry every 2 minutes. And so you couldn't essentially leave it on like you could a Real Care baby and wait for it to cry, because it would be constant care. But they did that because it was supposed to be a toy for children. But a lot of collectors were starting to buy them. And so looking through their website, I came to find out there was a lot of people my age. I was 19 at the time. There was people my age and older writing testimonies on these dolls, saying how much they love them and they play with them and they take them out and treat them like real babies. And I was just in awe. I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one into this. And so I went back and forth. I looked on eBay for an actual Baby Think It Over doll, and I did find a Real Care 1 doll, but it was a boy, and I was really intent on getting a girl. And so I thought maybe I'll just get the electronic neonate. I can turn it on whenever I feel like interacting with it, and when I'm done, just turn it off. So in my eBay search, though, for looking for an actual baby think it over on eBay, I came across Reborns, and I think Reborns were fairly new at that time. They were all from Behringer dolls, and I was in awe. I couldn't believe it. I thought they looked so real, and so then I was kind of like, okay, do I get the boy baby think it over real care one, or do I get this adorable Reborn that I had fallen in love with, or do I just go with electronic neonate? And so I mulled it over, and I finally decided to go with the electronic neonate. And so that was really where my adult doll collecting started, with Haley. And she was a real care electronic neonate. I mean, she was not a real care, sorry. She was an electronic neonate. And yeah, and so shortly after getting her, I created a Yahoo group in hopes that I could chat with some other people that own the dolls. And slowly that group grew because the Neonates company ended up going out of business a few months after I got my doll. And so my group started to grow. And so the group became a wonderful place. I made tons of friends through the group, and we would share pictures of our babies. You know, everyone had a neonate or a baby think it over that they found on eBay, and I mean, it was just wonderful. It was wonderful, and we all connected so well. And it ended up going beyond the dolls. We became friends. You know, we shared in each other's grief if someone's family member passed away, or, you know, their joy when someone, you know, got engaged or got married. And, you know, we just started growing together. And I think it was about after 4 years of running the group, a few of us decided to meet up. And so we went to Minneapolis, Minnesota for a weekend, and it had to be the best weekend of my life. We had so much fun. Every one of us brought our babies, and it was so great to finally be in a group of like-minded people where we just didn't care what people thought because we were all doing the same thing. And we went to IKEA, we went to the Mall of America, we went to, where else did we go? We went to, you know, restaurants for dinner together, we went to restaurants for lunch, we went to the Minnesota Zoo, all of these wonderful places together, and we took the babies with us in the strollers. And we just got such a laugh out of the reactions that we got. I mean, we would be like walking like in a line, and it would be like one doll after another, and people were just like, you know, doing the double take. And it was really amazing. And we found that the majority of the reactions to the babies were positive. They were positive. And so it really boosted our confidence in, you know, playing with dolls as adults. And another cool thing about the trip was that I was severely afraid of flying on my own. And so I had to overcome that in order to go fly out to Minneapolis and fly back. And I did it, and I was so proud of myself. So, you know, it's just the doll collecting has brought so much to my life, just because not just the dolls itself and the fun that I have with them, but I've met such wonderful, wonderful friends and people, and it's amazing, and everyone's so nice, and I would say for the most part anyway. I mean, we've had our share of some people along the way that have not been so friendly, but in general, like everyone's really, really wonderful. And you know, and again, I would never have really thought that I would fly on my own, and I did it. And now I've done it several times since. So it's great. Oh, and then of course, like even prior to the meetup that we did during those 4 years of, you know, the group growing and, you know, making friends and whatever, that's when I started to really get into collecting. I think it was about maybe, I think it was about a year or two after I got Haley that we were at the mall one day, and I noticed this collectible shop, and they had the Ashton Drake Real Touch vinyl dolls in there, and I fell in love with Jasmine Goes to Grandma. And I went in and I was holding her and I loved her, and I asked my dad for her for Christmas. And so then I got her, who I renamed Alexandria, who now has a new mummy. But so she was the second doll. And then from there I got Landon, who's the Ashton Drake Charlie. And then, and then I got Ashton Drake's Lullaby for Olivia. I bought her from my friend Nicole, who helped me run the group. And then that was it for a while. I just had those four for a while. And then once I moved out on my own, and like once Alex and I got our first apartment together, about a year before we got married, then it was like, hey, I'm on my own. Because the thing is that my mom at the beginning did not understand the dolls. She did not understand what it was about them. Like for her at that time, she liked dolls, but as display. She didn't understand, you know, buying baby clothes for them, changing their outfits, holding them, rocking them. She didn't get it, and she was wondering if there's something wrong with me. But I just kept telling her, like, it's just for fun, and it's, you know, I enjoy it, it's a hobby, blah blah blah. But she really didn't get it. And so once I had my own place, it was like, yes, I can do whatever I want. And you know, my husband is super supportive of the dolls and stuff. So so I saved up. I sold my electronic neonate, and I saved up, and I managed to get an actual Real Care 2 Baby Think It Over from the company by calling them and telling them that I never got to do the program before, and my husband and I would like to take the program to see how we would do together, or my fiance, because we were engaged at the time. We just wanted to see how we worked together as parents and blah, blah, blah. And they bought it. They totally bought it, because at that point, they were still like all about selling to schools. So I was so excited that they actually said, yeah, okay, like we'll send you one, because I guess they realized that, well, they thought we were going to use it for educational purposes, but no, it was for fun. But so then I got her, and I named the Real Care 2 Haley just because they looked identical. And so I just looked at it as like an upgrade kind of thing, because I really did not like the electronics on the electronic neonate. They weren't realistic to me, whereas the Real Care 2 is a real infant schedule. So I was in my glory. And then shortly after that, I bought my very first Reborn off of eBay, and that's Avery. And around the same time, I decided to buy a blank Reborn kit, the Estelle kit. And and my friend Amy, who I had met because she gave my Alexandria a new cloth body and whatnot, we had met and became friends. and she taught me how to reborn. I went to her house, spent the whole day there. We painted my Estelle kit, who's Chloe, and painted her. She got me started showing me how to root, and I took it home, and I think I finished rooting her in about a week. And it's not the best rooting job, but I would say it's pretty good for a beginner. And I was so happy, like when I finished her, like I was like, wow, I can do this. And so then Amy and I went in on an order for Bountiful Baby, and we bought all these kits, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to start reborning now. So, but then I was like, then I got overwhelmed with wedding planning. So I didn't start reborning in like the first reborn I made was at the end of 2008. We got married May 2009, and I started reborning consecutively come the end. I think it was like the fall of 2009. So I've been reborning since then on a consistent basis. And yeah, and then of course, literally like within a few weeks of coming back from our honeymoon in 2009, that's when I started to get sick, which later turned out to be lupus. But we went through almost a whole year of not knowing what was wrong with me. I went from doctor to doctor, and I'll just have to say that, you know, my dolls have always helped me a great deal through, you know, being chronically ill. And the funny thing is that Haley, the first Haley, the electronic neonate, she actually arrived on the same day that my first set of health problems started back in 2002. If you watch my lupus story, I started off by having a whole year of chronic hives, among other weird symptoms. And at that time, no one could figure out what caused it. And then it kind of went away, and I was good for a few years. And then I got sick right after our honeymoon. And then, you know, they started to bounce me from doctor to doctor again. And then that's when I finally was diagnosed with lupus. But it's just funny how, like, both times that I had stuff going on, like, basically my adult collection started right when I got sick the first time. And that year was a year of hell. It really was, because I was covered head to toe in hives 24/7 with no relief. Nothing helped. I was constantly itching. I was burning. I felt like my body was on fire. And the only thing that could really take my mind off of all of that was playing with Haley. I would put her on, I would, you know, give her her bottle, I would rock her, I'd change her diaper, change her outfits. I remember I couldn't sleep from the itching, and so I would get up early in the morning, and I would take Haley and I would swaddle her in her blanket, and I'd go out and watch TV, like early morning TV, just sitting there cuddling her, and it calmed me, and it took my mind off of the itching and the pain. Like, it was amazing. So, you know, the dolls have just helped me in such a great way. Now, the other thing that's happened on this journey through collecting dolls, I discovered other mediums. So, of course, you know, I've discovered the soft sculpt baby dolls, which I love. I think they're so different and creative. And I have a few American Girl dolls and, you know, things like that. So it's expanded, and my collection has grown over the years. You know, now that I'm an adult and I'm on my own and I'm working, I can afford to do so. So, you know, that's been wonderful. And I think the best part of this journey is that until I made my first reborn in 2008, like I said, my mom didn't really get the dolls, and so I never told anyone else in the family about the dolls. No one really knew about them, just my mom. And the funny thing is I never told my grandmother because I thought I would hear from her, oh, you're too old to play with dolls, because she'd quite often, you know, when I still lived with my mom, she would quite often come over and she would see some things in my room, like my doll bunk beds from my childhood, or a Backstreet Boy poster on the wall. And she would say, oh, like, aren't you getting too old for those things? So I thought, oh, if she knew about the dolls, I'll never hear the end of it. But so I never said anything. And then one Christmas, we invited her over to see our apartment. And I had just finished making my either second or third Reborn. And she was up for sale. And she saw her and was like, what's this? And, you know, first she saw Chloe in the hallway and said, oh, what's this? And I thought, oh gosh, here we go. I have to tell her. So I told her about it. And she was in awe. I couldn't believe it. She loved Chloe. She thought she was adorable. And then I showed her the one that I had just finished that was for sale. And she was like, oh my gosh, she's so real looking. Oh, she's so cute. And she's holding her and talking to her like a real baby. And I was shocked. I was shocked. And it was like a sigh of relief. It was like, okay, I don't have to hide this hobby anymore. You know, even if some of the other people in my family think it's crazy, I don't care anymore. I don't care. And so from that point on, my grandmother has loved the babies, and she wants to see each baby that I finish. She hasn't been able to see all of the ones that I make, but definitely anytime I adopt a new one, she has to see it. And I try to show her each one that I finish, but if I have to ship it off before I get a chance to, I definitely show her pictures. She just loves them. And thankfully now my mother has, you know, as you can see, she's on board with it too. I think it just helped once I started to make them, because my mom was just so blown away that I was able to do that I had the talent to do that, and she thought they were gorgeous. And then I think maybe it kind of helped bridge the gap in that I was able to make money from selling the dolls that I make. And so they kind of looked at it on the business side of things. But now I'm kind of more collector than maker, just because of circumstances. But they're okay with that too. They're so in love with the dolls that, you know, my grandma's like, oh, you know, I don't blame you for buying this one or whatever. She thinks they're great. And so now I don't hide. And quite frankly, I think having lupus has really changed my perspective. Like, I really used to worry about what people think, but now, you know, when you're diagnosed with a disease that could potentially become fatal at some point, it kind of brings to the forefront how short life actually is. And why would I want to waste my life worrying about what other people think? I should just do what makes me happy and enjoy the time that I have here on earth. And so really, lupus has been a gift in that way, because it opened my eyes and it's made me more confident, I think, in that I love my dolls and I really don't care what people think one way or another. I'm going to enjoy them. I'm going to take them out if I want to. And quite frankly, I found that the responses are mostly positive. Hey guys, battery died on my camera, so I'm on my iPhone. As I was saying, I find that most of the reactions have been positive. Everyone in my family loves them, especially even my cousin, who, again, just like my grandma, I thought would not get it. She loves her. I mean, you saw when I introduced Maya to the family, my cousin thought she was gorgeous. She loved her. I find that, yeah, I've just found a strength from lupus in that, like I said, life is too short to worry about what other people think. If it's not hurting anyone, then go for it if it makes you happy. And my dolls make me happy. They're fun. And that's really all I can say is it's a lot of fun. And I found that when I first started taking my dolls out in public, when I still lived at home, and I hadn't told my family, and my mom wasn't having a good reaction to them, then when I took my dolls out in public, I felt very nervous and I felt very self-conscious. And I think the way that I don't know, I guess the way that you handle it often times reflects the response you get. So like, I remember one time I went out and I had Haley in a Snuggly, and I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's looking at me, probably thinking, why does this girl have this doll? Blah, 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 this and that. When really, probably most of them didn't even realize she was a doll. And I felt like everyone was staring at me, but they probably weren't. It was probably just me thinking that way. And yeah, like, and then, I really didn't get any reactions or anything. I got some strange looks, but I've generally found that the more confident I am in my hobby and the more I enjoy my hobby, then others feel the same. Like if I take my doll out to a mall and, someone asks me, oh, how old is your child? She's gorgeous, or he's gorgeous, whatever, I'll say, thank you, it's a doll. And they're shocked. And they've usually never heard of reborns. And so for me, it's an opportunity to, show it and teach someone what they are. And if I have a positive attitude about it, and, even if they say it's creepy, if I just laugh and say, yeah, some people find that, it kind of at least gives them, it kind of makes them realize that I'm not crazy, that it is just for fun and it is a hobby, and it may not be their thing or their cup of tea, but they, they seem to be more receptive, I've found. I really haven't had much negativity. And even when I have, like, for example, when Amy and I did the season show, we mostly had positive comments, but we also had negative comments. There was one woman that literally went around the booth. Like, she walked as far away from our booth as possible because she looked totally freaked out by the dolls. And that's fine, whatever. And then we had, some people say, oh, those are creepy, those are scary looking. And we just laughed. We just laughed it off. And you know what? Like, if you're having fun with it, most of the time people will be positive and they'll respond well. But if you feel all like timid and negative and nervous about it, then I find you get more of that, ooh, that's creepy, you're carrying around a doll, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I just no longer give a crap what people think, and it's great. I love my dolls. I've been able to take them out and enjoy them, and really a lot of people enjoy seeing them, and it makes them smile, it makes them laugh, and I think that's the amazing thing about Reborns. And so yeah, so that's my little story. Well, not really a little story. I've probably rambled on way too long. But I just thought I would share with you guys my journey through dolls and how I got to where I am now, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and I hope maybe you can relate, and I hope you can also take something away from it, and that enjoy your dolls and don't let anyone get in the way of that. Just don't let anyone say you're crazy. Don't worry. Be happy. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.